Previously on Be the Judge.
Madam, my lady, we have been in that place for more than 5 years now.
Look, madam, the fact of the matter is Mr. Lambert's application was better than the Juakali people.
The court sympathizes with the traders. But as regards the law, Mr. Lambert is the legal owner of the plot.
And your verdict was... Family and gender law is an important branch of the law as it defines the legal rights and obligations that come out of family relationships as recognized by law. This branch of law often concerns itself with cases dealing with marriage, divorce, and the very sensitive issue of child custody when divorce or separation occurs. So what are the legal considerations that a court of law will use when determining who between a father or a mother is best suited to have custody of a child or children in the unfortunate event that they get separated? Tonight, the court will apply the provisions of the Children's Act, among other laws and established legal principles, in deciding a custody matter, while we shall be handing the scales of justice to 9 Kenyans who will be part of a special jury. As jury members, they will watch the dramatized court trial that is based on a real case with similar facts that has gone through the Kenyan legal system and a final judgment made. Without knowledge of the final outcome, the jury members who have no legal expertise will consider all the evidence that is brought before the court and then go into a session of deliberation, after which they will come back with a verdict that they think is fairest. Ultimately, the real court verdict will be compared to the jury's decision, explaining the legal basis for the court's finding.
Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
That's the wife.
Are you sure? She looks more like the maid.
What's all this fuss about? You don't usually see these many people in a custody case.
It's that rich business tycoon. His wife wants custody of their boy, claimed he beat her.
But she hardly looks capable of taking care of even herself.
Exactly.
Hello.
Answer?
Your manners. They didn't teach you how to greet your husband.
I have no husband.
It's not too late to end this nonsense.
No, there's no turning back. Where is my son?
You really want him to be here? In this place? He's only 8. You don't want him to witness 2 adults going at each other like...
He's my son. I wanted to see him. Why are you hiding him from me? Why?
Calm down. I don't want us to be here. You're the one who's brought us here.
Mr. Kibo, please let her be.
She is my wife. This is between the 2 of us.
And she is my client and she has told you she does not want to talk to you. I advise you to respect her wishes.
You know, Anne, with your looks and my style, we could go a very long way.
Opposite directions, I hope.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd recognize style when you saw it.
One thing you must learn, Limo, is that style is always subtle.
All rise. Court is now in session. Lady Justice Malaki presiding.
Case number 175, Kibaka Kibo versus Lois Kibo on the matter of child custody.
Steve Limo for the defense.
Answer Lama for plaintiff, my lady.
Go ahead.
My lady, we would like this proceeding to be conducted in camera. As with all child cases, this is a sensitive matter, and we would like to accord respect to all parties involved.
Does the defense concur?
We concur.
Then in accordance with the motion, I ask for the gallery to be cleared. Third gentleman over there, what are you still doing here?
Wewe mzee, hukusikia?
Nini? Nilikuwa nafikiria ati watu wanapigwa picha na kamera.
Nilimaanisha kila mtu ambaye hahusiki na hii kesi atoke nje. Hiyo ni sawa mzee?
Pole basi.
Sawa.
My lady, the plaintiff seeks sole custody of her 8-year-old son, Lionel. She also seeks support through maintenance from the defendant. The plaintiff has suffered ongoing acts of cruelty and assault from the defendant during the course of the marriage. We believe that the defendant is neglectful and would be unable to properly care for a son who is suffering from tuberculosis. Please state your full names for the court.
My name is Louise Kibo. Please speak louder. I am Louise Kibo.
Do you have any children?
I have a child, a son.
When was the last time you saw your son?
The last time I saw my son was when my husband kicked me out of our house. His girlfriend had just moved in.
Leave my house. Leave my house, you worthless piece of nothing.
Please think of our son.
Now, go back to you.
Please don't take my son away from me, please.
Leave. Get out.
I'm sorry. That must have been hard.
It was. Especially since he assaulted me in front of my son.
Did he explain the reason behind his cruelty and eviction from the matrimonial home?
He didn't explain anything. The day he kicked me out, I didn't see it coming. It just happened.
Where did you go after he kicked you out?
I went to stay with friends as I begged him to let me see my son.
And did he comply?
No. That's when I went to see a lawyer.
Tell us what your life was like before your husband kicked you out.
It wasn't always bad. I would prepare the house and cook for my husband and my son. I would spend the day with my son up until the time he was ready to go to school.
And what of your husband? Did he drop your son at school and pick him up?
No, he was too busy for that. He was away a lot of the time.
And who took your son to hospital when he fell sick?
I took him to hospital, but it would be difficult paying the bills.
And why is that?
It was hard for his father to give me any money. And he didn't trust my intentions with the money.
Why is it that you think that your son should be given over to your custody?
He needs proper care. And I fear his condition might get worse. Also, his father now lives with his girlfriend. And I'm worried that that might have a negative effect on my son.
That is all? No further questions, my lady?
Since you left Mr. Kibo's house, where has your son been staying?
I didn't leave. He kicked me out.
Nonetheless.
My son has been staying with his father.
And in your opinion, is he well taken care of?
I haven't heard of anything wrong, but that does not mean he's well taken care of.
Do you have a social worker's report to show that your son has been neglected?
No.
Do you have a social worker's report to show that your son would be better off were he in your care?
No. I've taken care of him since he was born. He's my baby.
When you were still with your husband, where did you used to live?
I lived in a house.
In your matrimonial home?
Yes.
Please, describe it.
It was a big house in a good neighborhood.
And the house that you're currently living in, could you describe that?
It is small, not in the best of a neighborhood.
If your son was to live with you, this is where he would stay?
It is my home, and I hope it will be his home too.
When you were still with your husband again, did your son ever want for anything?
He had the material things in life, but he lacked his father's attention.
So, are you saying that Mr. Kibo did not love his son?
No, I'm not saying that. He was never at home.
Well, according to you then, in your own opinion, what constitutes for a good father and husband?
A good husband provides for his family.
Did Mr. Kibo provide for your family?
Not always.
But you had a roof over your head. You had food on your table, did you not?
Yes.
And he paid for all this because at the time you had no source of income, did he not?
Yes, but...
So, Louise, doesn't this constitute provision from your husband? Do you have a job?
No, but I've been looking.
What was the last job you had?
I haven't had one in a while, but I'm looking for one.
And how long has it been?
Since before I was married.
So, have you been getting job offers?
So far, no.
Do you have a bank account?
I used to have two.
Had? What happened to them?
I closed them. There was no money left, and my husband refused to give me any.
How much money do you have?
I have 50 shillings, my fare back home.
Oh, but you've got to have some money somewhere.
If I did, I wouldn't be asking for any, would I?
So, you don't have any money, you don't have a job. How are you going to feed your son?
The father should.
Should do what? Take care of him? Support him? Isn't that what he's doing without any complaints?
Objection, my lady. Counsel is intimidating.
Overruled.
Well, no response. You said that your husband was cruel and assaulted you.
Yes, he did.
Do you have any proof to support your claims?
Nothing can erase the memories of what he did to me.
Do you have a medical report to show that you were physically assaulted?
No.
Thanks. Could you tell this court about your relationship with your husband's cousin, Mwangindolo?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, come on! You had sexual relations with the man, and your relationship happened under your matrimonial home, under the same roof as your son.
You don't understand.
Really? Well, enlighten me, enlighten the court.
Mwangi and I, we were in love. He was good to me, not like my husband.
So you did have an affair?
Yes.
And isn't it true that he's a bang smoker and drinks changa?
I didn't know that, not until after.
And yet you were in love with him and you didn't know?
He was good to me.
Nothing further.
Luis, how long did your relationship with Mr. Ndolo last?
About a month.
And what happened after that month?
My husband found out. Somebody told him.
And what did he do?
He threatened Mwangi. He told him he would kill him if he ever found him near me again.
What else?
He beat me. He beat me up.
In front of your son?
Yes.
And what was your son's reactions to this?
He didn't understand why his father was behaving like this.
And do you consider your husband's behavior as the behavior of a loving, faithful father?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
I'm still unclear on some facts, so I'll question the witness further. You say that your husband was cruel and assaulted you?
Yes, I did.
How did you protect your son from these cruel acts?
It was hard, because my son always ran to my aid.
And did you ever report any of these assaults to the police?
No, I didn't. They are my husband's friends, and they wouldn't have believed me if I did.
How do you intend to take care of your son without the means to do so?
I'm looking for a job. I've been looking everywhere. Someone will give me a job soon.
That would be all Mrs. Kibo listed down.
Did you know that under Section 158 of the Children's Act, the age of the person wishing to adopt a child is a key consideration in determining whether he or she is a suitable applicant. The Act sets the lower limit to be 25 years and the ceiling at 65 years, in addition to the applicants, whether single or married, being at least 21 years older than the child they want to adopt. The court will also be reluctant to grant an adoption order to a sole male applicant in respect to a female child or a sole female applicant in respect to a male child unless there are some special circumstances that can justify the adoption. For example, if an uncle is the only person available and able to take care of a girl child. These rigorous provisions, among many others, are there to safeguard the best interest of the child in question. In today's case, which our special jury of 9 Kenyans have been following, the plaintiff, Louise Kibo, has been trying to demonstrate to the court that she is better suited than her husband to get actual custody of their son. Lionel currently lives with his father, Kibaka, the defendant. Louise's case is hinged on the allegation that her son, who is sick, is living in an unsuitable environment and that her husband cannot be relied upon to take good care of him. She has also testified as to Kibaka's abusive and adulterous nature. The court will now hear from the defendant before issuing orders as to who shall get actual custody of Lionel.
My lady, the defendant, Mr. Kibo, would like to maintain custody of his son. Well, it goes without saying that he is financially capable of taking care of his son. Would like to also show to this court that he is neither neglectful, nor has he ever assaulted his wife. State your name and what you do to the court.
Kibaka Kibo, MBA, University of Glasgow, CEO, Kibo Restaurant Franchise, Head of Operations to Ungana NGO, and the father to Lionel Kibo.
That is quite a resume, Mr. Kibo. If I were looking to hire, you'd certainly get an interview.
My records clearly show that I am employable, unlike some of us here.
Objection.
Sustained. Mr. Kibo, please refrain from making such comments. They do not help your case.
Mr. Kibo, you seem like a man who values life. What else do you value?
I do value my culture. It's the basis of who I am.
And what does your culture say about family?
My culture clearly states that children belong to the husband, so my son belongs to me.
And would this apply to all the children you have?
Any children that I do have belong to me, but in this particular case, we're talking about my one son.
Mr. Kibo, was your marriage a civil or a customary marriage?
I was married to my then lovely wife in a civil wedding.
So if you married your wife in a civil wedding, why do you cite cultural laws to decide on this matter?
Your Honor, I come from a patrilineal society, and I would like that to be put into consideration.
Please, describe to us the events that led to your wife leaving your matrimonial home.
It was a normal day, just like any other day. Only that this time she was having one of her tantrums. Louise, you're being unreasonable.
Unreasonable? You worthless excuse for a man. I don't even know why I put up with you.
Please stop it. Think about our son.
What? Our son? When do you think about him? You know what? You can take care of him for a change. I've had enough.
But I've got to work. How else do you expect us to sustain this kind of lifestyle?
I don't care. You work it out.
Okay then. If you're so unhappy, then you can leave.
What? You ungrateful. Okay, I'll leave if that's what you want.
Please, Mommy, no! No! Please.
Was your girlfriend living in your house at the time?
No. My girlfriend moved in after my wife had left.
Did your fight turn physical?
Well, if the object she tried to throw at me count, yes, it turned out to be physical.
How did your son take to your wife leaving your matrimonial home?
He was very upset. He clung to her, pleaded with her not to leave, but then she chose to leave both our house and her son.
Would you say that your wife showed any concern towards your son's feelings?
No. She just walked out on him as if he did not exist.
Why do you think that you should be allowed to keep custody of your son?
I work in a big NGO. I earn $500,000 every month. Plus, I have a chain of very popular restaurants. Surely, I'm more than capable of providing for my own son. I am also prepared to give my soon-to-be ex-wife adequate settlement if she's prepared to leave our son under my care.
I see. And how is your relationship with your son?
I've stayed with my son since we separated with my wife. There has never been any complaints. It is defamatory to accuse me of negligence and cruelty.
Apart from the financial stability, why else do you think you should be allowed to keep your son?
I have a very strong moral standing, and I'm capable of taking care of my son.
Doesn't your wife have similar strong moral standings?
She slept with my cousin in my bed while our son was still in the house. No, I do not believe she has equal moral standing.
That will be all.
My client may not have the financial stability that you do, but she is a good mother, is she not?
I suppose she is. Actually, she's been a very good wife and a mother until she grew on.
Mr. Kibo, I won't tell you again.
You raised the issue of my client not producing a social worker's report. Did you produce such a report yourself?
No, I didn't think it was necessary, but I can provide if it is needed.
And when you're at work, who looks after your son?
I have a well-trained caregiver who takes care of my son.
You mean house help?
You could call her that. Well, those are just semantics.
Does your son regularly attend school?
Yes, he does, unless the days he's sick.
And when he's sick, who looks after him now?
The caregiver is well-trained to administer first aid and has seen to it that he gets the very good care that he needs.
It has been established that you have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Are you cohabiting with the girlfriend?
Yes.
Under the same roof as your son?
Yes.
But doesn't that go against your moral standing?
At least it's a better environment than what that wicked woman provides. I mean, the only reason we are here is because she has been practicing witchcraft, which she has been using on our son all these years. That's why he's been falling ill. She did that to get back at me.
Objection! This is ridiculous, my lady. The witness is challenging my client's character again with spurious allegation. This is a desperate attempt to save face.
This is not how a court proceeding is conducted. Mr. Limo, I suggest that you advise your client on how to handle himself in my courtroom.
My lady, I apologize on behalf of my client. I take it he is under a lot of pressure and hence his outburst.
Are you done, counsel?
Just about. How long after you chased your wife out of your matrimonial...
Counsel, are you testing me?
I rephrase. Mr. Kibo, how long was it after your wife was out of your matrimonial home did you start living with your girlfriend?
My girlfriend.
Yes, girlfriend. A regular female companion in a romantic or sexual relationship?
Well, it's about almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks? That was fast. That is all, my lady. In accordance with the plaintiff is seeking custody of her son. The plaintiff has loved and cared for her son since his birth, despite the prolonged and continued cruelty in the part of her husband. It is only her forcible eviction from the matrimonial home that has prevented her from continuing as his primary caregiver. Her son has a history of illness and needs additional care and attention, which the plaintiff can and will provide, should the court decide in her favor. The defendant, by his own admission, is a very busy man with several businesses to run and therefore cannot provide the level of attention and care required by his son. He has also moved in his girlfriend into the house, a woman that has no children of her own and little experience in child rearing, and therefore is not qualified to deal with a sick child, such as the plaintiff's son. The plaintiff is also asking for 80,000 shillings in monthly maintenance to help house and school their son, an amount that the defendant can easily afford.
The defendant, Mr. Kibo, wishes to maintain custody of his son. He's done so since being separated from his wife without any medical or any other complaints. His son is comfortable. The defendant no longer believes that his estranged wife has the ability to provide for their son. In fact, he is afraid that she will go back to her relationship with his cousin, a changa drinker and bank smoker. Surely the court would not like to expose a child to such negative influence. However, the defendant is also aware that his estranged wife has no income as yet and is willing to give her monthly maintenance. In the event of his maintaining custody of his son, he's also willing to come to an agreement where the mother can visit once in a while. Finally, it should not escape this court's attention that, financially speaking, the defendant is better able to take care of their son, both in terms of his medical bills and schooling. Simply put, the son is home. He is in a stable environment where he will get all the attention and care that he requires. Any disruption to this stability will be detrimental to his development. We ask this court to put the well-being of the child at heart and look out for his future.
Is that all?
Yes, my lady.
If that is it, we will break and reconvene in the afternoon for the judgment.
The parties to the custody matter of Louise Kibo versus Kibaka Kibo are now awaiting judgment after testifying. It is now up to you, the jury, to look at all the evidence that has been adduced in court, deliberate on it, and after that deliberation, you must come back with a verdict that you think is fairest. Now, in your verdict, you shall determine who should get custody of Lionel, the child, in this custody matter. Yeah. And as you may have noticed, we have a new face on our jury tonight. Mr. Nguru, who has been serving on our jury, is currently indisposed, and he will not be with us for the next couple of weeks. But in his place, I'm very happy to welcome Joy Mueni as a guest juror. Welcome, Joy, to the jury.
Thank you very much.
So I'll start with you. We've had two versions of two people who are fighting over a child. One is saying that, Mrs. Kibo is saying that she was thrown out, and Kibaka is saying, well, she walked out. Who do you believe?
I choose to believe the mother. I do not think any right-thinking mother would walk out of the house and leave an 8-year-old child. I think she was kicked out. Well, the views are different, but I believe she was kicked out. And because of that, if she was not kicked out, then why hasn't she not been allowed to see the child ever since?
Do you agree? Do you agree with me?
Yeah. From what we can see, the character of the man in the court is quite shrewd. Yeah, it doesn't look like a person I can actually believe. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, no mother's going to leave a child and then not decide to come back unless she's not allowed back. So yes, definitely.
Why don't you believe Mr. Kibo? What makes him so unbelievable?
It's his character. I mean, he does his business well, as you can see, but from the way he speaks, yeah, it looks that he's unsure of what he does at home, yeah, and come on, I'm telling you, he doesn't know what he's doing, because...
I beg to differ that Mr. Kibo is somebody who knows what, Mr. Kibo knows what he does. This is a very responsible citizen. He's been providing for his family, he has been caring for his family, but look, the wife just decided to betray the confidence by moving with the cousin.
Just to disagree with what Mr. Opere was saying, when Mr. Kibo was put on the spot and asked, his relationship with the son and how he cares about the son, all he could talk about was financial provision and a caregiver. So if it comes to the best interests of the child, it would definitely be with the mother.
But Louise Kibo had an affair with his cousin.
I believe she was vulnerable, like when she met up with her cousin, because he seems like to be an absentee father and an absentee husband, and he's very controlling. He controls how much money she can have.
So does that give her the right to have an affair?
None of them are morally right, because she
right.
cheated, and I believe even in his marriage, this girlfriend didn't show up 2 weeks after she was kicked out. This girlfriend must have been the picture way before. So none of them have a moral leg to stand on.
Oh, no, that one cannot be ascertained because what we find here is that Mr. Kibo reacted to what happened when the wife slept with his cousin. So if it could have not happened, Mr. Kibo could have not done that. But this was a reactionary behavior because of what the wife did, and not at all as the child complained that the father does not love him. So Mr. Kibo has proved to be very honest, caring, and loving parent.
I think
just coming off what Mr. Opere is saying, Mr. Kibo, there's not been any complaints that he's been a neglectful father. He's not paid any bills. There's no complaint as to his capacity to take care of Lionel.
I think my fellow jurors are losing focus on something. What we are discussing here is really not Kibo and Kibo, Mr. and Mrs. Kibo. Nobody has even mentioned the kid here. We have a Kibo Jr. who is the one that has made all these go to court because it's a dispute for the custody of the boy. So I think we should focus on the boy. Where is he safer? Where will he be taken care of? Where will he be picked from school in time? Where will he be taken to hospital because of his condition? I think those are the things that we should be looking at.
So where do you think he should?
I think that the mother does not have money to take care of the boy. She only has a 50 bob right now, as she speaks. So it's a bit tricky when it comes to her taking care of the kid without financial support.
If she's given money, she's given 80,000, what they're asking for the plaintiffs. What if she goes back to Mr. Mwangi?
That is the question, because the character which the mother is instilling to the child is very much questionable.
Isn't he with the girlfriend? But the girlfriend
if he can
with the
move,
same man.
this is a case where Mr. Kibo has the freedom even to